Lily, an 8-year-old girl, struggled as her wheelchair became stuck in a mud-covered surface. She tried to pull it free but fell hard to the ground. Desperately, she called out to her mother, who was watching nearby. To Lily's shock, her mother turned and walked away, leaving her alone. Moments later, a luxury car approached, rescuing her. Little did Lily know, the next morning would bring an unexpected change that would forever alter her life. Lily was only 8 years old, but life had already shown her a world of challenges. Born with a disability that caused intense pain whenever she tried to walk, her early years were marked by struggle. Her small frame sat in an old, rusty wheelchair that creaked with every turn of the wheels. Chicago, with its busy streets and bustling people, felt even more overwhelming for a girl like Lily, who was used to watching the world pass her by from her chair. Her mother, Sarah, had once been a hopeful woman, but over the years, the weight of raising Lily alone had worn her down. She had no education, no stable job, and was constantly frustrated by the endless care her daughter needed. Sarah had dreamed of a life full of opportunities, but her reality was far different. After Lily's father, Mark, left them, Sarah's frustration turned into resentment. Mark had secured a job as a driver for a wealthy businesswoman and had moved on with his life, leaving Sarah to raise their daughter on her own. He had disappeared from their lives, and any small support he had provided vanished with him. The government disability allowance for Lily barely covered their basic needs. Most days, Sarah felt trapped, her dreams buried under the heavy responsibility of caring for her daughter. She couldn't even remember the last time she had smiled genuinely or thought about her own future. It seemed every day was the same, pushing Lily in her broken wheelchair down crowded sidewalks, wondering how things had gone so wrong. One gray afternoon, Sarah walked briskly ahead of Lily, too absorbed in her thoughts to notice her daughter's struggle. Lily was trying her best to keep up, her small hands gripping the wheels of the chair tightly, struggling to maneuver over the uneven pavement. The chair was old, and its wheels often got stuck on the cracks in the sidewalk. Lily called out softly, "Mom, wait!" But Sarah didn't hear her, or maybe she did and just chose to ignore it. The frustration inside Sarah had been building for years, and today it reached a breaking point. As Lily tried to steer her wheelchair up a small curb, it tipped over. The chair, fragile from years of use, gave way, and Lily fell to the ground. She cried out, her voice echoing down the street. Passers-by glanced over but kept moving, wrapped up in their own lives. Her body was tangled in the chair, and her hands reached out instinctively, hoping for someone, anyone, to help. Sarah stopped, turning around slowly when she heard the thud of the chair hitting the ground. For a moment, she stared at her daughter lying there, helpless. Something inside her snapped. All the years of hardship, of feeling trapped and hopeless, came crashing down on her. In that moment, she made a choice she would regret for the rest of her life. Without saying a word, Sarah turned and walked away, leaving Lily behind. Lily's eyes filled with tears as she watched her mother disappear into the distance. She called out for her, but Sarah didn't turn back. The world seemed to blur around Lily as she lay on the cold concrete, unable to pull herself up. She sobbed quietly, too weak to do anything but wait. Just then, a sleek black car slowed down as it passed. The driver, a middle-aged man named Robert, was on his way to a business meeting, but something caught his eye: a little girl, trapped under a broken wheelchair. Robert pulled over and rushed out of the car, his heart sinking at the sight before him. "Hey there," he said gently, kneeling beside Lily. "Are you all right? Where's your mom?" Lily, still crying, whispered, She left." Robert was stunned. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. How could someone leave their child like this? Without hesitating, he carefully lifted Lily out from under the wheelchair and carried her to his car. "It's okay," he reassured her. "You're safe now. We'll find your mom." But as he glanced around the street, there was no sign of Sarah. She had vanished. Lily's sobs began to quiet as Robert settled her into the passenger seat. He wrapped a warm jacket around her small frame. "Let's get you home," he said softly, although he wasn't quite sure what that meant yet. What's your name? Lily, she replied, her voice trembling but growing stronger. I'm Robert. He introduced himself with a smile. I've got a nice house nearby. How about you come with me for a little while? We can find your mom later. Lily looked up at him, unsure of what to say. But there was something kind in Robert's eyes, something that made her feel safe for the first time in a long time. She nodded slowly, wiping the tears from her cheeks. As they drove through the city streets, Robert couldn't help but think about the girl sitting next to him. She was so small, so fragile, and had been abandoned in the middle of a busy street by her own mother. The thought made his heart ache. When they arrived at his home, a large, beautiful house on the outskirts of Chicago, Robert carefully lifted Lily from the car and carried her inside. The housekeeper, a warm woman in her late 50s named Margaret, rushed over as soon as she saw them. "Oh my goodness, what happened?" she asked, concerned. "This is Lily," Robert explained. "She had a bit of an accident, but she's okay now. Margaret, could you get her something to eat?" Margaret smiled at Lily. "Of course. How about some pancakes? You look like you could use a treat." Lily nodded, feeling a warmth she hadn't known in a long time. Lily sat quietly at the dining table, watching Margaret bustle around the kitchen. The smell of pancakes filled the air, a comforting aroma that seemed to soothe the knots in her stomach. She had never been in a house like this before. It was large, bright, and full of life, so different from the small, cramped apartment she shared with her mother. Everything felt new and unfamiliar, but at the same time, there was a warmth here that she had never known. For the first time in what felt like forever, she wasn't scared. As Margaret set a plate of pancakes in front of her, Robert sat down across the table. "How are you feeling, Lily?" he asked gently. Lily glanced up at him, unsure how to answer. "I'm okay," she said softly, though the sadness in her eyes was hard to miss. Robert gave her a reassuring smile. "You're safe here, all right? You don't have to worry about anything." He paused, then added carefully, "Do you know where your mom went?" Lily shook her head. "She just left." Robert's heart sank again, but he didn't want to press the girl too hard. He could see how fragile she was, both physically and emotionally. Instead, he decided to focus on making her comfortable. "Well, you can stay here as long as you need to. We'll figure things out together." Margaret returned to the table, her face full of concern. "Robert, should we try calling someone? The police, maybe?" Robert nodded thoughtfully. "We'll make some calls, but let's not rush anything just yet. Lily needs time to settle down first." He looked at the little girl, whose small hands were fiddling with her fork, clearly lost in thought. "How about we take it one step at a time, okay?" Lily nodded, grateful for the kindness Robert was showing her. She hadn't experienced this kind of attention in so long. As she ate her pancakes, she couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. Would her mother come back? Did she even want her to? The next few days passed quietly. Robert took care of Lily as if she were his own child. He made sure she had new clothes, a proper bed to sleep in, and even bought her an electric wheelchair that she could control with ease. The transformation in her life was swift and overwhelming. But Lily couldn't help feeling like it was all temporary, like she was living someone else's life and at any moment, it would all be taken away. One afternoon, as Robert pushed Lily's new wheelchair through the garden, he began to ask her more about her life. "Lily, can you tell me a little about your mom? What was it like at home?" Lily hesitated. Talking about her mother brought a flood of complicated feelings. She loved her, but she also knew her mother had never been happy. "Mom, she didn't like taking care of me," Lily admitted quietly. "She said it was hard because I couldn't walk. And then, my dad left." Robert listened carefully, his heart heavy with the weight of Lily's words. He knew this was a fragile subject, but he wanted to understand more about what had happened. "Do you remember when your dad left?" Lily nodded. "He left a long time ago. I don't know where he went. Mom was really angry after that. She didn't smile anymore." She paused, her voice growing softer. She used to say that I was the reason she couldn't do anything. Robert felt a deep sadness for Lily. No child should ever have to hear words like that from a parent. He knelt down beside her wheelchair, looking into her eyes with a gentle but firm expression. None of this is your fault, Lily. You didn't do anything wrong. Lily looked away, blinking back tears. Deep down, she had always known that, but hearing it from someone else, someone who cared, made it feel real for the first time. Robert continued, "You're a strong, brave girl, and you've been through a lot, but things are going to change now. I promise." In the weeks that followed, Lily's bond with Robert grew stronger. He became more than just the kind man who had rescued her. He became her protector, her guide, and most importantly, the father figure she had longed for. He was patient with her, making sure she felt comfortable in her new surroundings, and slowly, Lily began to open up. One evening, after dinner, Robert sat down with Lily to talk about something important. "Lily," he began carefully, "I've been thinking about something. I want you to stay with me, permanently. How would you feel about that?" Lily's eyes widened. "You mean like, forever?" "Yes," Robert said with a smile. "I want to adopt you. I want you to be part of my family." Lily couldn't believe what she was hearing. No one had ever wanted her like this. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and fear. "But what about my mom?" Robert's expression softened. "I'll keep looking for her, but until then, I want you to have a real home. A place where you're loved and taken care of." Tears welled up in Lily's eyes, but this time they weren't from sadness. For the first time in her life, she felt like she truly belonged somewhere. She nodded, a smile breaking through her tears. "Okay," she whispered. "I'd like that." Robert hugged her gently. "You'll always have a home with me, Lily. Always." The adoption process took a few months, but Robert was determined to make it official. And during that time, he worked tirelessly to ensure that Lily had everything she needed. Not just a place to stay, but a future full of hope and possibilities. Lily's life changed in ways she never thought possible. The adoption became official, and Robert was now her legal father. With him, she felt a love and security she had never experienced before. The house, once a place of temporary comfort, became her home. A place where she could dream, learn, and grow. But Robert was not done helping her. He had noticed something about Lily that troubled him deeply, her longing to walk. Although she had learned to use her electric wheelchair with ease, Robert knew that deep inside, she still wanted to be like other kids, to run and play without pain. One morning, over breakfast, Robert brought up the idea gently. "Lily, I've been speaking with some doctors about your condition. They think there might be a way for you to walk." Lily's fork paused mid-air, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Really? But how?" Robert set down his coffee cup and leaned in, his voice soft but firm. "It's not going to be easy. You'll need surgery, and after that, there will be a lot of therapy. It will be painful and it will take time, but the doctors believe that, with the right care, you'll be able to walk again." Lily sat in silence for a moment, the words sinking in. She had dreamed of walking for so long, but she had always believed it was impossible. The idea of surgery scared her, but the hope it brought was too powerful to ignore. "Will it really work?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Robert nodded. "They think it will, but it depends on you, Lily. It will be hard, and you'll have to work at it every day. But I know how strong you are. If anyone can do it, it's you." Lily felt a surge of determination rise inside her. "I'll do it," she said, her voice now firm. "I'll do whatever it takes." The weeks leading up to the surgery were filled with anticipation and nervous energy. Robert stayed by her side through every doctor's visit, explaining each step of the process in a way that made her feel confident and brave. On the day of the surgery, he held her hand as they wheeled her into the operating room, his calm, reassuring presence giving her the strength she needed. The surgery was long and difficult, but it was a success. The doctors had managed to correct the issues in Lily's legs, and now the real challenge began, learning to walk. The next phase of her journey was grueling. Every day, she attended physical therapy, where she had to endure hours of painful exercises, her muscles weak from years of disuse. There were moments when the pain seemed too much to bear, moments when she wanted to give up. But Robert never let her feel alone. He was with her at every therapy session, encouraging her with his steady, unwavering support. "One step at a time," he would say. "You're doing great, Lily. Keep going." Lily's progress was slow at first, but each small victory built her confidence. She went from needing to be held up by the therapist to walking a few steps on her own, her legs shaky but determined. The pain was there, but so was her willpower. She refused to give up no matter how hard it got. After months of therapy, something miraculous happened. One day, as she and Robert were practicing in the park, Lily took a step without any assistance. Then another, and another. She looked up at Robert, her face filled with amazement. "I'm doing it," she whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. Robert's eyes were filled with tears, but they were tears of pride and joy. "Yes, you are, Lily. You're walking." It wasn't perfect. She still limped slightly, and some days were harder than others, but Lily had achieved what had once seemed impossible. She could walk, and with each step, she became more confident and more certain of the path ahead. Her journey wasn't just about walking. It was about proving to herself that she could overcome the obstacles that life had placed in front of her. Every step was a testament to her strength, her resilience, and the love that had made it all possible. As she stood in the park that day, with Robert by her side, Lily knew that this was only the beginning of the incredible journey ahead. She had faced her challenges head-on, and now, nothing could stop her from achieving whatever she set her heart on. Years passed, and Lily's life continued to blossom in ways she never could have imagined. She excelled in school, driven by a passion to make Robert proud and repay the love he had shown her. Her journey had been long and difficult, but with each challenge, she grew stronger, more determined. By the time she graduated high school, she had become an inspiring young woman with a bright future ahead of her. Lily pursued her dream of becoming an engineer, enrolling in a top university. Her mind was sharp, and her problem-solving skills, honed from overcoming personal obstacles, made her a natural fit for the field. Robert had always supported her ambitions, encouraging her to aim high and never settle for less than she deserved. He had given her the foundation she needed, and now Lily was ready to stand on her own. But as life often goes, joy was met with sorrow. Just before Lily completed her engineering degree, Robert passed away. He had been 65 years old when he found Lily all those years ago, and though his health had begun to decline, his love and dedication to her never wavered. His death left a deep void in Lily's heart, but she knew that everything she had accomplished, she owed to him. After his passing, Lily spent a lot of time reflecting on the life they had shared. She missed him terribly, but his teachings stayed with her. Robert had taught her about kindness, perseverance, and above all, love. She graduated with honors, carrying the strength of his memory with her as she stepped into her new life as a successful engineer. One day, as she sat in the same park where Robert had first found her all those years ago, Lily was lost in thought. She scrolled through the photos on her phone, looking at the countless pictures of her and Robert through the years, birthday celebrations, graduations, and moments of simple joy. She missed him deeply, but she also felt a profound sense of gratitude for the life he had given her. As she sat on the bench, a voice broke through her thoughts. "Excuse me, can you spare $1 for coffee and something to eat?" Lily looked up, startled. Before her stood an older woman, her hair unkempt and her clothes worn. But even though the years had changed her, Lily recognized her instantly. It was Sarah, her biological mother. Time had been unkind to her. She looked older than her years, her face lined with hardship and regret. Lily's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't seen Sarah in over 20 years, not since that day when she had been left on the sidewalk. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, Lily's voice, steady and calm, broke the silence. "Mom, it's me, Lily." Sarah's eyes widened in shock. She hadn't recognized her own daughter. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "Lily? My Lily?" Lily nodded, her heart filled with conflicting emotions. But in that moment, all she felt was compassion. "Yes, Mom, it's me. I've missed you." Sarah trembled, overwhelmed with shame and guilt. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what I did." Without hesitation, Lily reached out and took her mother's hand. "It's okay, Mom. I forgive you. Let me help you now." Lily led her mother to the car that Robert had left her, the same car that had once rescued her from a life of pain and uncertainty. As they drove toward the house, a sense of peace settled over Lily. The journey had come full circle. Just as Robert had once saved her, now it was her turn to help the woman who had given her life. In that moment, Lily understood the true power of love, forgiveness, and kindness. It had transformed her life, and now it was her chance to pass it on.